Hello, let's take a look in this video at the more on pronouns and antecedents, what that means, and I've given you some examples as well. Now, pronouns take the place of or refer to nouns or other pronouns or phrases. The word that the pronoun refers to is called antecedent. That's what that pronoun is referring to. And let's look at some examples of an antecedent in a sentence. The first one, John ordered an ice cream sundae because it was his favorite dessert. So his is referring, it's the antecedent, and it refers to John. And it is referring to ice cream. So it refers to the antecedent, the ice cream sundae, and his refers to the antecedent John. In this next example, Jim and Susan studied for their exam together. Their, the possessive pronoun there, refers to the plural antecedent Jim and Susan. It was their exam, so that's a plural antecedent. Next, another example. I enjoy jogging through the park because it makes me feel energetic and it gives my body a great workout. So it refers to the antecedent jogging through the park. That's the antecedent right there, jogging through the park. It's a phrase, so you have to include the whole phrase. Me and my, so you said it makes me feel energetic and it makes my body, it gives my body a great workout. Both these words refer to the antecedent I, because I'm the one who's enjoying it. It's my body that feels good, and it's me, I, it's all referring to myself. So there is the use of the antecedent. So there are three important antecedent rules to remember. And let's go over these together. The first one. A pronoun must agree in number with any other words to which it refers. So singular has to refer to singular, plural with plural. If the antecedent is singular, a singular pronoun has to agree with it. If the plural is antecedent, if you're using a plural antecedent, you have to have a plural pronoun. So let's take a look at these types of pronouns. The following words are singular indefinite pronouns. They're always singular. And so they must agree with a singular antecedent. He, him, his, she, or her. But let's take it a step further and look at singular indefinite pronouns. An indefinite pronoun doesn't refer to either a male or a female. It could be both. So these are all singular though. All these words are called singular indefinite pronouns. Anybody, anyone, each, either, everybody, everyone, neither, nobody, one, somebody, or someone. Now you can tell body, it's one body, so it's singular. Anyone, everybody, everyone. The word one is in a lot of these. No body, like one body, somebody, someone. So when you look at it like that, it helps you to realize it's singular. So let's look at some examples to make sure that you have your pronoun and your nouns, your pronoun agreeing with the antecedent. Nobody appreciates their own health until sickness hits. This is incorrect. Reason? Nobody is always singular. Okay? It's a singular indefinite program. But now you're saying there, and there is plural, so it's incorrect. So you could say nobody appreciates his own health until sickness hits, because nobody is singular and his is singular. But this method, it's grammatically correct, but it could be considered sexist language. And if you're not sure what sexist language is, if you look at my video on the use of language, the use of gender bias language and sexist language is outlined in that video, and you should familiarize yourself with it. So what else could you say for this sentence? Well, I guess what you could say is nobody appreciates his or her, so you're using both, it's no longer sexist. or her own health until sickness hits. You must say or, one or the other, to keep it singular. So this method is grammatically correct, but it's a little bit awkward and repetitious. So here's what I think is the best way to rewrite it. Most people, just do generally, everybody, most people, or people, do not appreciate their health until sickness hits. This method now has revised the construction of the sentence. You've reworded it. It makes the pronoun and the antecedent both in the plural form, and your sentence is now much more clear and less wordy. Another example, this would be incorrect. Everyone is entitled to refill their coffee mugs. Everyone is always singular. So therefore, you cannot say to refill their. It does not agree. So you'd have to say each person, which is singular. It's not sexist by saying each person who is present is entitled to a coffee refill. Or each person is entitled to refill. Well, you see, as soon as you say it that way, you'd have to say their or his. So the best way, I feel, is to rephrase it, reword it, and say each person who is present is entitled to a free coffee or to a coffee refill. So you just have to work with the words that you have. Here are some special singular antecedents. They're always singular. Each of the following is singular. Any pronoun that refers to one of them must also be singular. So let's look at these special singular antecedents. Each, often it's followed by of. Each of, either of, neither of, every one of, or one of. Examples? The first one, each of the antique dressers, so each means every single one, so it's singular. Each of the antique dressers has its own special charm. Every single one has its own. So the subject of the sentence is each. It's not dressers. Each one. And so you must use the singular pronoun its. Now, if you don't know or you're uncertain how to pick out the subject or why each is the subject and not dressers, which it is not, you should review the video on how to pick out subjects in a sentence, because it's very important that you understand what a subject is of the sentence in order to have grammatically correct sentences. A subject of the sentence is never in a prepositional phrase. So of the antique dresses is a prepositional phrase, so the subject isn't there. The subject is each. The next one, neither of the girls is presenting her sales pitch to the team this afternoon. The subject is neither. And neither is always singular. It's one of those singular pronouns. So the subject is not girls. That's a prepositional phrase. Neither is presenting her sales pitch to the team this afternoon. Neither one is. So the singular, neither is singular, so therefore you'd have to say her. You know it's females because it says girls, so neither one is presenting her pitch. You can't say their pitch because neither is singular. Singular antecedents joined by or nor are referred to by a singular pronoun. Okay, let's look at an example. Rules are tricky until you see examples. This is incorrect. Neither Susan nor Jill remembered their homework. Okay, neither or nor makes it singular. It means not one or the other. It didn't say both. If it said they both didn't remember, then it would be their homework. But it's neither nor. So as soon as you see neither nor or either or, it's singular. So neither Susan nor Jill remembered, you'd have to say her homework because it's singular. It's one or the other. Or in this case, neither one. Not one and not the other. So it's singular. Again, this is incorrect. Either he or his brother will bring their dog to the park today. Either or is singular here. And will bring their dog, you'd have to say will bring his dog because not one or the other. So either or, it's singular, and you'd say his. And moving on, these are pronouns which must agree with their antecedent in person. So let me explain that. Pronouns should not shift their point of view unnecessarily. Take a look. The first one's incorrect. In our family, we were given an allowance if you did all your weekly chores. All right, this sentence is shifting the viewpoint of you from we, to you. And they have to remain the same, the pronouns. So in our family, we were given an allowance if we did our weekly chores. You can't start with we and then shift to you. The pronouns must stay the same. The pronouns have to agree with their antecedents in person. Another example, the first one here is incorrect. When completing homework, one, which is singular, must review your answers. You can't shift from one to your. So you are changing your point of view. So I've corrected it in 3 ways for you, and all are fine. When completing homework, you must review your answers. You keep them both with you and your. When completing homework, we must review our answers, meaning belonging to us. Or the third way is, when completing homework, I must review my answers, the possessive my answers. So any of these would be fine, but do not shift your point of view in a sentence. And the last pointers that I want to discuss related to antecedents, pronouns and their antecedents, is the clear reference of pronouns. Remember that all your sentences must be clear and easy to read and understand. Now, I believe that if you have to read a sentence more than once, chances are it's not well written. So that's why I always tell people to read their work out loud, because when you do read your sentences out loud, you get a new perspective and you will pick up on your errors. And something like this would be easier for you to pick out in your writing if you have pronoun shifts in a sentence. So the first pointer is ambiguous or vague references. Don't use a pronoun if there can be any doubt about its antecedent. You shouldn't leave the sentence this way. So reword it, rework it, rearrange or rewrite the sentence if possible. And sometimes you may have to add another noun and take out that pronoun to make it clear. So look at these examples. This is vague. Barb's nose was sunburned, but it has completely disappeared. Okay, in this sentence, what's disappeared? It almost sounds like her nose has disappeared. Barb's nose was sunburned because it has completely disappeared. You have no idea what it is referring to, what its antecedent is. Are you referring to Barb? Are you referring to her nose? So I rewrote it, and what you would say to make it clear is Barb's nose was sunburned, but the burn has now completely disappeared. All right, so I rewrote a noun here instead of it because it wasn't clear. So sometimes you have to change your reference and not use a pronoun if it isn't clear to understand. Here's another example. This one's vague. Vague means it's wide, it's unclear, it's not pinpointing clearly what you're saying. Susie told her mother that she was working too hard. Who are you referring to? Susie told her mother that she. Is Susie saying that Susie herself is working too hard? It's ambiguous. It's not clear. There's not a clear reference. Or is Susie saying to her mother, you know, Mom, you're working too hard? It's not clear. So who is working too hard? So I rewrote it. Susie thought that her mother was working too hard, so she told her to slow down. Now it's clear that her is referring to her mother. All right, so rework your sentences so that they're clear. And one more example. This first one is very vague. You don't know what the reference point is. As the manager talked to the customer, she became annoyed. Who's becoming annoyed here? Is the manager becoming annoyed, or is it the customer who's becoming annoyed? It isn't clear. So to rewrite it, as they were talking, it was clear to the manager that the customer was getting annoyed. So you know two people are conversing, and now it's clear to the manager that it is the customer who's getting annoyed. So sometimes pronouns don't work. You have to remove them, rework the sentence, and maybe add more nouns as opposed to pronouns. But pronouns do work if you don't want to be repetitive, but be careful that it's clear. And a couple more. This first example is vague. The employees are demanding an increase in pay and more sick days, but the management does not support them. So what are you saying? Does the management not support the increase in pay? Does it not support the request for more sick days? Or is it not supporting the employees themselves? So what are you saying here? So I rewrote it. The employees are demanding an increase in pay and more sick days, but the management does not support their demands. So it's a lot clearer. You've taken out some of the pronouns here, and you've made it a lot clearer. Rather than using the pronoun them, you're saying specifically what is not being supported by the management. And the final example right here, my older sister is a computer analyst, but I'm not interested in it. In what? What are you not interested in? It's a little bit vague, the use of the pronoun it. So I would have rewritten that and said, my older sister is a computer analyst, but I am not interested in this line of work. More specific, it's more descriptive, and it's too vague using the word it. So those are some examples when pronouns just are not very effective. And the last thing I want to point out about pronouns that aren't effective is when you're repetitious pronouns and antecedents. The antecedent of a pronoun should never be repetitious. Don't repeat it. So let's look at an example. The first one, this is repetitious. In the article, it said that there should be stricter gun controls in America. It said, I guess you're referring to the article repeated itself, but the wording of that isn't very clear. I rewrote it, and it's better to say the article stated and just say what it stated. You don't need to say in the article it said. It's repetitive. Just say the article stated, and what did it state? Well, here it is. This is the gist of it right here. The article stated that there should be stricter gun control laws in America. And I guess then that is it for pronouns and their antecedents and how to use pronouns properly. And I've shown you how sometimes you do have to eliminate pronouns if it's not clear who the pronoun is referring to. Sometimes you have to rephrase sentences and add more nouns to make it more clear. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope that you understand these rules, and feel free to contact me if you have any questions. There are also practice questions after every video, 3 sets of 5 questions with an answer key, and if you still need further help, contact me, and I'm glad to work with you. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.